Protests over the Iranian government's handling of the economy spread to several cities on Friday, including Tehran, in what appeared to be a sign of unrest. President Hassan Rouhani began his second term in August after winning re-election on promises to revitalize an economy hurt by sanctions. Although foreign investment is rising, the country continues to survive mainly on oil sales. Youth unemployment stands at more than 40%, sluggish state-owned enterprises control significant sectors of the economy, and American sanctions prevent most international banks from providing financing or credit to Iran. Many of the international sanctions against Iran were lifted under the 2015 Accord on Iran's nuclear program. But unilateral American sanctions on doing financial transactions with Iran remain in place, and the cumulative effect of sanctions has been severe. Mr. Rouhani, who heralded the agreement as a fresh start, has faced criticism for not doing enough to jumpstart the economy. The protests began on Thursday in Mashhad, a city of 2 million in the country's northeast, where hundreds gathered to denounce recent price increases and the moribund state of the economy more generally, according to Iranian news agencies. Some of them shouted "Death to Rouhani." It was difficult to judge the size of the demonstrations and whether they were organized, and if so, by whom. Relatively prosperous, Mashhad is dominated by hardliners, including supporters of Ibrahim Raisi, who lost to Mr. Rouhani in the May elections. Mr. Raisi has pressed the plight of the poor, a cause picked up by hardliners who say that Mr. Rouhani's government has failed to address rising inequality. A new budget presented by the government this month was widely debated on Telegram, Iran's most used social media outlet. Many people were upset over appropriations for religious and revolutionary institutions while other areas of the budget were cut. An unpopular exit tax that Iranians pay whenever they travel outside the country was increased, and millions of dollars were cut from a modest but popular subsidy plan for the poor. At the same time, the government has allowed Iran's currency to depreciate over the past half year, a psychological blow that resulted in inflation of certain products like a 40% increase in the price of eggs. Protests over economic conditions are not uncommon in Iran. They usually take place in front of parliament in Tehran, and in smaller cities it is not uncommon to see protests by people who have lost their savings in bank failures, or retirees who can't make ends meet. What seems distinctive about the protests this week is how quickly news about them spread on social media and was in turn picked up by foreign-based satellite channels. The semi-official Iranian labor news agency quoted Mohsen Nasjeh Hamdani, Tehran's Deputy Governor General for Security Affairs, as saying that a number of protesters had been arrested in the capital on Friday after an illegal call for a rally on social media platforms. He said about 50 people had showed up for the rally.